What is up? What is going on, everybody? I am back for the Mariners postgame. Before I get started, hit the like button if you're new, hit the sub button if you're new. Actually, hit the like button if you're not new. And if you're not new as a sub, hit the sub button as well. Appreciate everybody that's done so far. I hope you are all enjoying these videos as I try to recap every Mariners postgame this season. Obviously, it's not going to happen because I missed a couple games last week being sick, or this week, I should say. The Mariners win 7-5. A crazy comeback against the Houston Astros tonight. I think probably the most satisfying win of the year for the Mariners as they improved to 16-17. I know they had some pretty crazy wins in Oakland in this road trip, and they're starting to get back to that chaos ball a little bit. They're starting to win these games. We've been accustomed to them winning over the years. There is a fly in here. I apologize if it gets in the camera. Driving me nuts. I also want to apologize for being in this room again. I don't like being in this one. For some reason, my face always looks super red in this room. I don't know why. But Mariners games don't end at 5:30 p.m. They end at 10:30 p.m. So everyone's asleep. So I got to do my videos where I can do them. But anyways, like I said, probably the most satisfying win of the series here. They had some nice ones in Oakland, but you always kind of felt that dread against Oakland. Like, it was more of a survival. Like, oh my God, don't lose to Oakland. Please don't lose to Oakland. Please don't lose to Oakland. They had a nice win in Toronto to close out the series, but you kind of had that feel of like, okay, salvage a game in the series. Just salvage a game. This was one that just truly felt good. The Mariners scored 7 runs in the 8th inning after being down 3-0 going to the bottom of the 8th. They score 7 runs with 2 outs. Not only that, they score 7 runs with 2 outs and nobody on base. Every single Mariner reached base in the 8th inning. Just an incredible rally from the Mariners to take to a game that just felt lethargic. It just felt like every Mariners loss you've experienced for the last 15 years. Just, hacking balls into the ground, nothing. One of those losses, like, what else can you say about it? And they rallied to score 8 in the 7th. Sewald made it a little interesting in the 9th. Tucker singled, Pena doubled with 2 outs, then Myers singled. Was able to get Dubon, which was great because you don't want Bregman and Alvarez coming up there. But like I said, the Mariners do hold on to win it 7-5. Let's talk about the 8th inning, then I'll dive into everything. So the 8th inning started with Ty France and Kelenic making outs. Gino walks. Cal Raleigh hits one. And listen, I'll be critical when, not critical, but I'll point out when the Mariners get unlucky with exit velos and stuff. In fact, Kelenic hit one today, 110, and Julio 116 that were both outs. But the baseball gods rewarded the Mariners in the 8th inning because Cal Raleigh hit one that had to have an exit velo of 2 that had dribbled. And then Pena and I think Dubon, or maybe Bregman, I think it was Dubon though, ran into each other. He would have been safe regardless of them running into each other, but it just kind of made it even more Babbitt-y, if that makes sense. Teoscar hits an infield hit, which was hit pretty deep into the hole, but Pena made the play. Couldn't get it. I think he had trouble getting out of his glove, or he did, and it just brought Bregman off the bag. So the bases were loaded for J.P. Crawford, who has been maybe the most valuable player on the team. I don't know if I go that far. Well, maybe Kelenic, but JP's up there. And JP delivers a bases-clearing double. He had a walk and the double today. The on-base skills have been amazing this year. He's got to be up there for the league in walks. I don't have the numbers in front of me. The defense has been tremendous. It's back to the elite JP defense that we've seen. And he's starting to drive the ball a little bit. We're starting to see some of the extra base hits. He had the grand slam in Philly, the double tonight. And boy, he's had some clutch hits too. I know clutch is kind of not really a thing. But I do think, I'm always in between on that. I get it. But I also do think there's certain players that can just rise to the occasion a little bit better than others. And JP seems to be one of those guys that has that inside of him as a leader of this team. So he ties it up with a 3-run double. Like I said, JP starting to drive the ball a little bit and still continue with that on base percentage. This is a legitimate all-star player, the way JP has played so far. Hopefully he can keep it up. He did start hot last year and dropped off a little bit, so we'll see. But so far, so good from JP. Trammell pinch hits for Tom Murphy and walks. Then Jose Caballero comes up and delivers a 2-run double. Caballero was in the game because Colton Wong left with an injury. We'll see what the status is Excuse me, sorry again, these late games. We'll see what the status is on that. But Caballero delivers a 2-run double that gives the Mariners a lead. That was a great piece of hitting by Caballero into the gap. Julio adds a single. Ty adds a single. Ty France 3 hits today, really good to see. And then Jared Kelenic adds a single as well to get the 7th run in for the Mariners. Like I said, every single Mariner reached base in the inning. Ty France made it out and then had a hit. Kelenic made it out and had a hit. Gino made it out and had a walk. So every single Mariner, I wonder how many times that's happened in baseball. It can't be too often that every hitter in the order has reached base. Tom Murphy didn't bat. Trammell batted for him. So every spot in the lineup reached base essentially. Like I said, I can't imagine that's happened too much in baseball history. And good to see Julio with the hit. That was important. I'll get to the lineup in just a minute. I thought Marco was fine. 6 innings, 3 earned runs. Again, I said it with Marco. I don't care too much like Marco's xFIP, his FIP, his whatever, ERA plus, whatever numbers you got for him. I don't care too much of it with Marco. He's a back-end starter. Just get me outs. He's a veteran back-end guy. Like George Kirby, I care about those stuff. Logan Gilbert, I care. Bryce Miller, I care. Because their development is important, and you want to see, like if Bryce Miller runs a 3 ERA this year, but his xFIP is 5, then okay, what was happening that maybe he's due for some regression? I don't care if Marco's due for regression or anything. Just get me outs. Like, it's Marco. He's a back-end starter. I don't mean that maliciously either. I mean that as a compliment. Like, just get me outs, and he did it today. Again, I use it every start. It's the Jamie Moyer. Like, that's Jamie right there. Like, get me through 6, keep me in the game. And Marco kept his team in the game. Ran into a little trouble. It would have been nice if he wasn't walking Jose Abreu so often, who has a negative 35 WRC plus against lefties. But he mitigated some damages. He got out of an inning where it would have been 4 runs, but it was on the Alvarez double, which did score a run. Dubon was thrown out at home. He was originally called safe. Murphy was called for blocking the plate, and Dubon was safe. Upon further review, it was determined that Murphy did not. And I think what the ruling is there, I believe if the ball is thrown into the path, then Murphy has a right to be there. Now, if Murphy would have caught it over here and then stood in front and done that, then yeah, that's what it is. Then the call is safe. And I'm not a huge fan of that rule anyways. Like, Dubon was out by 30 feet. I mean, he's out. And I would say the same thing if it was the Mariners in that. I'd be disappointed. I'd be like, hey, I'll take the run. I'm never going to turn down a run or anything like that. So I don't expect, Astros fans, if they would have called that safe, to apologize or anything like that. But, I think it was the right call. I think the ball led Murphy to where he had to get it, and Dubon was clearly out. So, I don't know. I thought it was a fine call, but, whatever you guys think on it, just let me know in the comments down below. Juan then made his major league debut, shutout inning, good to see. Penn Murphy was placed on the IL today with elbow issues. Mariners said, I don't think it's serious, but we also thought Robbie Ray was just going to miss a month, and then Andres Munoz was just supposed to miss a couple weeks, so, who knows. I think then is a good option, though. He looked really good. Taylor Saucedo looked really good in his 1 inning of work today, and he gets the win today. Struck out Alvarez. Could have used him last October, I guess. And he's been solid. He's another guy that's kind of come up, and he hasn't pitched a whole lot, but he's been good in his short stint so far with the ball club. Got 2 strikeouts today. And then and Saucedo both kept this game close enough where the offense was able to get it going. So, originally the story of this game was going to be missed opportunities for the Mariners. In the first, they loaded them up against JP France, couldn't score, and then France really settled in. When you have a rookie pitcher like that, and I'm going to get into it a little bit, I notice when the team loses, I tend to break down the game more, and they win, I just celebrate it. I want to do better at breaking down wins as well. JP France did the ball really well. The Astros just continue to be a machine with pitching process. I mean, it doesn't matter. They're just like, when they lost Verlander, I was like, they're still going to be fine. They're going to have all these guys. They're going to turn out. We've seen what Hunter Brown can do. Shame with Luis Garcia being out for the year, but JP France looks like someone that can stick. And in a good organization with a good coaching staff like Houston, I have little doubt that he'll be successful. But you had him on the ropes in the first inning. He was struggling to find the strike zone. Almost walked Julio, got behind, I think 3-0, ended up striking him out. Ty France had the base hit. I think Gino walked and Kelenic walked. No, Kelenic was hit by a pitch. Gino walked. Cal struck out. He didn't miss a grand slam by much. He was out in front of a pitch. It went foul. So Cal was close, but then ended up striking out. And then Teo struck out in a 3-2 pitch that he took. And then France settled in, was able to get through his 5 innings of work. When you've got a young pitcher like that, you've got to find a way, I think, to get a couple runs there. Mariners fortunate tonight to rally and get the win. But normally in a position like that, you're going to have to find a way, in my opinion at least, to get a couple of those runs to apply the pressure, especially off a rookie pitcher like that, who you don't want him settling in. Because for France, he gets out of that. It's like, okay, got through the first inning, take a deep breath, let's keep going. And then they obviously got to Rafael Montero, who got BABIP to death pretty bad in the 8th inning. We saw that a lot in Seattle, and that would happen to him. Like, he'd give up these little bloopers, and then it would just be that one big hit, and that was JP's double. And that happened to Montero a lot in Seattle. The little blooper started falling in, and then the big hit happened as well. So it's good to see the Mariners take advantage of a good Astros bullpen and get some runs there. Julio was 1 for 5 with an RBI single. Glad Julio got that hit. He needed that. He has been scuffling. I don't want that hit to make us kind of forget that he is struggling right now. Listen, his hard hit rate is still above league average. His barrel rate is still above league average. He is swinging and missing a lot. I wonder if he's hurt a little bit. I mentioned that in a video last time. I wonder if the back's still bothering him or if he's just pressing a little bit. Julio is still the best center fielder on this roster. I saw a couple mentions on Twitter from people about maybe sending him down. What are you going to do? Put Taylor Trammell in center? I mean, you're just losing another. Your best bet is for Julio to come out of it. And I think he will. I'm not worried about Julio. It's just frustrating. And Julio's game, the way he plays, it's going to lend itself to frustrating bad streaks because he's such an aggressive hitter. It's kind of that Julio walks in the same way Vlad Guerrero walked and early career Miguel Cabrera walked. Cabrera developed much better plate discipline as he got older. But those guys would end up getting some walks because pitchers were afraid to pitch to them. So they would just get balls. Like, Vlad Guerrero's eye wasn't amazing. He was swinging and everything. But pitchers were so afraid to pitch to him that he would walk. He would get a fairly decent amount of walks. Julio's kind of in that same vein. Not that Julio's eye is terrible, but a lot of his walks come from, like, just, we're not pitching to Julio. Like, where Jared Kelenic, someone like him, he's got a great eye. Julio's is more probably here, but he's going to get those walks to how good a hitter he is. Well, when he's not getting that, he's just swinging wildly and missing and making outs. It's going to be really frustrating. But again, Julio is probably going to have some of these. Like, yeah, he's going to have, was 0 for 16 before the single, but there is going to be a series here where Julio's like 10 for 13 and just carries the team. So I think Julio's going to be fine. The secondary numbers suggest he's okay. Good to see Ty France with 3 hits. Hopefully he's coming out of it. I thought he had some better at-bats in Oakland. So good to see him getting a few hits. Kelenic was 1 for 4 with an RBI single and reached base on a hit by pitch. Gino was 0 for 3, 2 walks. Started the rally. Good to see. Cal was 2 for 4. Obviously had that infield hit, and then he did have a solid line drive base hit. Teoscar was 1 for 4 with that infield hit. JP 1 for 3, obviously the big double, 3 RBIs and a walk. Tom Murphy 2 for 3, had a nice double. That they stranded a bunch of leadoff doubles. I'll get to that too. And then had a base hit as well. Murph starting to heat up a little bit. That's really good to see. They need that from the Murph. Taylor Trammell had a walk in his one at bat. Colton Wong was 0 for 2 left with an injury. We'll see where that ends up coming from that. And Caballero was 1 for 2 with 2 RBIs. Hopefully Colton Wong's okay because he's starting to swing the bat a little bit better. If it's something minor, I think Caballero can fill in for a couple weeks. But again, goes back to really missing a guy like Dylan Moore on this roster because Sam Haggerty's really struggling as well. So you're going to have to roll with Caballero. And Haggerty's a better hitter from the right side, so you can't even platoon the two of them. So we'll see what ends up happening with Colton Wong. But yeah, like I said, the story originally was going to be how much runners the Mariners are stranding. They had, I think Murphy had a leadoff double in the 5th or 6th. They stranded them. They had 2 outs, nobody on in the 7th, couldn't score. And then they end up rallying in the 8th to get the win. So, yeah, it's amazing. Now that I do these videos, it's always kind of funny to me because I have this, like, not that I'm like a professional sports person, but like when writers say they have their article written and they've got to cross it all out because what happens. That's kind of what I do. I go through the game in my head. I'm like, okay, I'm going to definitely talk about that. I'm going to talk about this. I've got all this written out. Like, I was going to get on Julio a little bit today. The double play. It's like, come on, man. Let's get going. And I had it all. And then the Mariners just like the last 5 out of the last 6 games, they've done this to me. The Toronto game, the 3 in Oakland, maybe not the third game. And then this game tonight where they just flipped the script on me. Obviously, I didn't do the last 2 Oakland games being sick, but in my head, I'm still going through it. So, I need to know this team is chaos. That was, that's been their MO. So I need to take a deep breath, I think, during some of these games. Mariners will go for a series win tomorrow and hopefully to get back to 500 before starting a series with Texas on Monday. Bryce Miller gets his 2nd career start tomorrow. Going to be a lot tougher. He's facing a real major league lineup tomorrow. Now, he was fantastic regardless of who he was playing in Oakland. His stuff was good, and the numbers were great. He didn't just get through it on luck or anything. But tomorrow's a professional major league lineup he's facing. So good test tomorrow for Bryce Miller to see if that can carry over for him and maybe get him his first big league W. Be great to see the Mariners get back to 500 if they can do that before starting a series with Texas and get back into this thing. And you want to take advantage of Houston now because without Altuve, without Brantley, without McCormick, they missed Framber Valdez in this series. Without Luis Garcia, like you want to take advantage of the Astros now because they're going to get healthy. And even some of the guys are struggling. Like Jose Abreu is going to start hitting a little bit. Not, maybe it's just not there this year, but I don't think he's going to have a negative 35 WRC plus against lefties the whole year. So take advantage of Houston while you can, while they're struggling a little bit. And see if you can't get a series win tomorrow. Like I said, hit the like button, hit the sub button. I will see you guys all tomorrow night probably tomorrow night for the post-game recap. Hope everybody has a great Saturday night. As always, go M's. Take care, everybody. Peace.